It's Micah E on the beat.
Oi, this one na Sara Sara. The beat is tarantana. It go make you manya manya. Ines is in manya manya. Oh yeah, make you ricotta ricotta, mama Africa ricotta, hey. Make you dance, yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody ricotta ricotta, mama Africa ricotta, hey. Make you dance, yeah, 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 yeah. This one na Sara Sara. The beat is tarantana. It go make you manya manya. Ines is in manya manya. This is for people.
Hi, I'm Julie Tumas. I'm from the American School of Marrakesh. I'm currently a 5th grade teacher there, but I'm from Washington, D.C. And I'm going to talk to you about all the different cultures, traditions, adventures, and mottos that I have about life. I guess the first one, I just want to say that I live my life by doing a new thing every day. And you're going to see that through my life, it's pretty obvious that I am doing tons and tons of new adventures, new experiences. I started studying architecture at the University of Virginia. I was going to be an architect. I was creative. I joined architecture basically because I didn't want to study something that has already been studied before. I wanted to do something that's never been done. I wanted to design buildings that were so crazy for kids with slides and for parents with art murals in them. That's why I wanted to become an architect. But after I realized that architects, they work at a desk and I just can't sit still. So I joined the Peace Corps. The Peace Corps is a volunteer service through the American government. Basically, it's all around the world, in every country that they ask for it. There's volunteers that are doctors, volunteers agriculture, education, working in the municipalities. I love kids, so I worked with the education. I thought I was going to Africa, that was my dream. And now I'm accomplishing my dream now. But back in the day, I wanted to go in 2011. And when I got Eastern Europe for my station in the Peace Corps, I was devastated, but it turned out to be one of the best experiences of my life. Peace Corps is a service where you're not living in the city, you're not living with other expats. You're living with the locals in villages, small areas, and you're learning the language. The first 3 goals of the Peace Corps. The first one is to help others. So with my job, it was with working at a school. The second one is for that country to learn about America. So for that country to figure out that we're not just the stereotypical TV show, we're not just the stereotypical Hollywood. We're real people and we care. The third one is we as Americans need to learn about that other culture and spread that with other Americans as well. So through social media, through blogging, through just dancing with people in America, teaching them about Macedonians, I did that third goal as well. I started in Macedonia in September 2011. The first thing that you do is you go to the new country and you spend 3 months just learning the language. You're living in with a host family that doesn't understand English at all. So every day from 8 to 12, you're literally learning that language, and at 12 o'clock you go home to a home where they do not know any English, and all you know is the day's lessons. So the first couple of days get really awkward. For example, the first day you might learn about the weather, and you say, hey, sto misliš za vremeto, which means, what do you think about the weather? And they say, it's sunny outside. And you say, oh, and the conversation ends, because that's all you know so far. But as the days went on, I became actually fluent in Macedonian in 3 months, which is amazing because I thought I was never going to have a knack for languages. After 3 months, in the 3 months, you're with other Americans learning that language while you're living in a village. After 3 months, you're on your own. You go into a community, they don't know you, you don't know them. And my motto there was literally to make friends with everyone. Every single person. I wanted to go to every single person's house and drink coffee with the old men and help the ladies clean their houses. I wanted to be a part of everyone's life in that village. That's very hard. It's a constant struggle, and I think for the young leaders to know this about just social aspects of life is that it's a constant struggle to just try to be friends with everyone. Sometimes you want to be friendly to everyone, but sometimes you need those close contacts. You need that friendship and those bonds, because if you're friends with everyone, you're also friends with no one. You have no closeness and bonds. So I started to learn that. Other things in that village, it was called Jvan. It was in a mountain, 400 people and 1 American. Other things I learned, I just, living in agriculture, living in the small life, enjoying the simple things, not communicating on social media, not having a smartphone. It was eye-opening. And the last thing I would say is that village, the friendships and the relationships that I've made there, I mean, I'm actually trying to not tear up right now, because when you're with that small community anywhere, and I'm talking to anyone out there in those small communities, that's where those bonds are formed, and you never want to break those bonds. Now, one thing I learned also in traveling abroad is that it's really hard to keep that communication and keep those bonds from far away. That's one of the hardest things. Social media, yes, you can use that, and you can email, and you can talk on Skype, but another one of my mottos is to live in the moment. Because if you're not living in the moment, then you're not really living. And as much as you want to keep those bonds from the past, I agree that that's important, but the moment is the most important. So after Peace Corps, I came back. I came from Barcelona on a cruise down to New Orleans. I came back to America, and I experienced something called reverse cross-culture shock. A lot of people probably have experienced this. This is when you come back to your home country, and you literally don't understand your own culture. You are so confused by your own culture that you don't understand why the people that you used to know are still doing the same things, and why they're doing that, and why they're caring about these superficial things that are like new modern technology. I went through probably the first ever depression in my life. So how did I get over that? Travel. And that's another thing that I would suggest to anyone out there is that, if you're feeling in the dumps, try something new. Try a new experience, make new memories, meet new people. Those are all things to get over sadness, to get over just a bump in your lung. So I went on a road trip across America. I went from Washington, D.C. to Arizona, to the Grand Canyon. And around the way, I told my stories of Macedonia, of the Peace Corps. And I learned a couple other things about people. I was really trying to understand the people of America, of my own culture. I was trying to understand my own situation again. And what I understood is that a lot of people, and this is just common around the world, they believe in something that I kind of call the 10-day, 10-day. It's something that everyone in this world, they're worried about what happened 10 days ago and what will happen in 10 days. So if you ask them, I was asking people, I said, well, what'd you do over the last year? What was the most important things? Highs and lows, tell me. They'd say, last week, I went to a big party. It was so cool. I said, well, what's something really important that happened to you in the last year? Oh, well, next week I'm going to my friend's house, or I'm going to my family's house. I said, can you think about the big picture? So that's another lesson I kind of learned about people in general, that, remembering the past and trying to think more into the future than just that 10-day, 10-day. The other thing I learned about conversation is that it's like a ball. It's like a ball being passed back and forth. You have the ball, you're talking to someone, and guess what? You're going to show them some tricks, tell them some stories, some jokes, maybe throw that ball under your leg, bounce that ball over your head. But then you better give that ball to them, or it's not a very fun game for anyone. And that's what I realized, is that people, when I came back and wanted to tell my stories to my family members all across America, they wanted to understand and they wanted to listen, but I also had to give that ball back to them and let them know what was going on and have them respond. And this is another just piece of advice for people that are traveling abroad. When they come back or they're trying to tell their stories, it's hard because people in general, they always want to relate to other people. So what happens is that no matter what your story is, they're going to want to relate. And sometimes it's hard when you've had so many stories of greatness or experience. You know, you say, well, I was, you know, in Macedonia dancing around in a circle on a holiday in the middle of winter, and they say, oh, well, you know, when I was a kid, I did play Ring Around the Rosie. That's the only relation they have to your story, and that's okay. You just have to listen to them and let them relate, and then they'll pass the ball back to you. So after living in America, coming back home, I did try the 9-to-5. I tried the 9-to-5, I was a project manager of a graphic design company, but I couldn't stand it. I needed to move again. I wasn't in the lifestyle of just sitting down. So I applied to become a 4th grade teacher in Myanmar, Asia. This is also called Burma. So I started that in September 2014. I went over to Myanmar, and when I got the job, I had the interview. The principal of the school, he said, you can come, we'll accept you, but you need to be here in 6 days. And I was still working for this project managing position. But guess what? I picked up and I went. Because sometimes you know, and I know the young leaders out there agree with me, you know when that decision is there in front of you and you just need to drop it, everything, and go with it. And a lot of times people are scared of that. They're scared to take the risk. But the benefits are overwhelming compared to that small ounce of fear. Myanmar, Burma is a very traditional society. I was living in a place called Mandalay. And living there, I was living with 40 other teachers there. It was the first time that I was living with 40 other expats. And I learned a lot about the juxtaposition about living with other expats in a community and about living in the local community. And I realized that I wanted to go and live back in the community. I needed to give. So we started volunteering in the community. And that is something, again, that I suggest to any young leaders out there. Volunteering, it may seem like you're giving something, but really, the experience is always giving me more. And sometimes I felt guilty, you know, because another motto of mine is that I am happy when I make others happy. And I feel that the only way that in the world everyone's going to be happy is to make others happy, to spread that love, as hippie as I sound right now. So after Myanmar, I knew that from Myanmar I was going to continue my international experiences. I traveled around Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, New Zealand last year, and I knew that this was for me and I needed to keep going. So when I came back to America, I just came for about 2 weeks, and then I was off again to my home here in Morocco, where I am so happy and so satisfied to be here with you today, giving my advice, because this place as well is a new thing and a new experience and something to be learned from no matter where you are in the world. So in Morocco, I'm a 5th grade teacher, and the culture here is amazing. I'm still every day getting more accustomed to the culture of the locals. And I am still astonished every day by the new things that everyone is accustomed to. The Muslim religion and this society, the traditional beauty is breathtaking. I am obviously in a modern society as well in Marrakesh, and the juxtaposition between the modern society and the traditional society coming together is also something that every day I see on the streets and still am continuing to learn about. I'm so happy to have come here, and I want to thank the Radio Global AUL, and I want to thank all of my helpers here and workers here at the radio, because this is my message to all young leaders, and I hope that you as well will be doing something new every day.
Oh Sarah, Sarah, make you dance, yeah, yeah, yeah.